might have said something bad. Let me know if we drop out at some point here. But I'm going to keep going as if we are. Maybe didn't like this story. Reconnecting? Yeah, so we're good, man. But now, obviously, by the way, quick pause if we're still live here. Real news mug. You see this, man? Hey, it's real. It cut? Gabi says Facebook cut. What did I say that time? No worries. That was actually an okay place to stop. Oh, we are? Hey, back live. Things happen. We'll continue where we left off. Anybody's joining back in, I'll riff and ramble for a minute so we can get some people to give us time to get back in. If you just joined us, though, what you're looking at on your screen at some point here is the tweets that Trump sent out. These came yesterday saying election fraud's a thing. It's probably going to happen, especially if we go to an all mail-in ballot. And the part I didn't get to here before is you'll see at the bottom there, this little link that Twitter conveniently threw out for our knowledge. Get the facts about mail-in ballots. And if you click on this little link, it'll take you to something that's, has never been seen on Twitter before. Trump makes unsubstantiated claim that mail-in ballots will lead to voter fraud. On Tuesday, President Trump made a series of claims about potential voter fraud after California Governor Gavin Newsom announced an effort to expand mail-in voting in California during this pandemic. These claims are unsubstantiated, according to CNN and Washington Post. Dude, what? I can't be the only one that's like, I can't be the only one that sees this, right, Sean? I mean, come on, man. So I'm clicking on something on Twitter from the President Trump tweeting something, and the evidence you're giving, is this not verbatim what I laid out on Monday's show? This is what we have. We have the trading of appeal to authorities now. That's all that just happened. So on the one hand, it's President Trump just saying something, and on the other hand, now you're trading the authority of CNN and Washington Post. Now, that's a slight exaggeration, but you understand what I'm saying. It feels very close to that sense of trading logical fallacies for one for another. Well, I'll appeal to your authority, and you appeal to my authority, and whoever's authority is more authoritative, that's who wins the day. These claims, quote from Twitter, these claims are unsubstantiated according to CNN and Washington Post. What are you going to do for the 2/3 of people in the United States that could give a crap about what CNN and Washington Post think on anything? Goodness gracious, man. I mean, lick me to Snopes for all I care. I'd rather listen to the cat lady's opinion than CNN, right?
Well, even the statement, and I don't know if you mind me jumping in here, but even the statement that fact checkers see no evidence of voter fraud in elections that have not happened yet is a statement that doesn't make any sense. Of course, there's been no voter fraud yet. The election's in November. So you get what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, even if you look at the way they say it, sometimes I wonder if we have journalists or if, like, there's lawyers writing stories.
Right.
Because that's a sneaky thing to say. Is that not sneaky?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Fact checkers say that there's been no election fraud in elections that have not happened yet. Well, yeah, the sky is blue. Thank you for the update. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And wouldn't it be nice if there was a balanced approach? Even if Twitter did say, we're going to go ahead and fact check the president. What if there was, here are some anecdotal evidences. I don't know if that's the plural, but I did my best there. The evidence of potential voter fraud. Here is anecdotal evidence of the things that states are doing to guard against those things. We believe that President Trump exaggerated the danger and downplayed the things states are doing to make it safer. That is something that not everyone would be into, but at least wouldn't be insulting to people with IQs over 110. You know what I'm saying? Or 105. I mean, and I'm not trying to say people are stupid or anything. I'm just saying, like, if you actually read it, you're like, I'm a smart person. I'm pretty sure there hasn't been voter fraud in elections that haven't happened yet. That's insulting. And, like, that's what I'm most tired of from these curators of the internet, these journalists, these talking heads on the television. Is like, just stop insulting my intelligence. I am not stupid. Now, can you please give me something of substance? Please? Okay, we'll just go make our own show and make our own media and see if, like, we can come up with something that doesn't make people feel stupid. We're doing our best, by the way.
Dude, and to your point, man, check it out. Look at it this way. Okay, so obviously Shine's mentioning that. How do you claim something could not be a rigged election when we're both talking about hypotheticals here? They say Trump falsely claimed that mail-in ballots would lead to a rigged election. However, fact checkers say there's no evidence that mail-in ballots are linked to voter fraud. Well, no evidence yet. Evidence of what, man? We haven't tried this at a national level yet. What are you talking about? Of course there's no evidence. Clearly. That would be true on its face that there's no evidence of that yet at a national level. But hold on. But there is a bunch of evidence, though. That's the other side of this, too. It's like, what are you talking about? There is a bunch of evidence of this. We just mentioned a few of them yesterday. Tucker Carlson has a great video that I forgot to link in the show notes. I'll link at some point for tomorrow for everyone to check. He goes over case after case after case after case, half of which are from the GOP, by the way. Case after case of ballot harvesting fraud. And a very interesting thing I picked up from Trump's tweets yesterday, where he went on to say that what would end up happening if we had just a pure mail-in process would basically just be a contest of who can cheat the best. And that's also something I said yesterday too, right, man? If you really want to play this cheat game, that's what caught me off guard yesterday. If you really want to play this cheating game, it's like GOP has done that as well. Is that what you're asking for, though? Is that what the left is asking for? And think about it this way, man, from that Fox News article that's linked at the bottom here, lending credence to what you just said, Shine. This is from the Wall Street Journal. I'll link both these articles down there at the bottom as well. This is from the Wall Street Journal. You'll see it down there under the Twitter executive that's in charge. We're going to talk about that Twitter executive here in a minute. But going down a little bit more, in the red notes there, and the show notes, if everyone's following along, it says it's worth considering the following articles for some perspective about possibility of voter fraud and corruption of mail-in process. Wall Street Journal. There's a commission here that's been put together. This is the conclusion of the bipartisan 2005 report of the Commission on Federal Election Reform, chaired by former President Jimmy Carter and former Secretary of State James Baker III. This is their conclusion. Jimmy Carter and James Baker III. Quote, absentee ballots remain the largest source of potential voter fraud in the nation. Absentee ballots remain the largest source of potential voter fraud. That quote's not from President Trump, man. It's from the conclusion of that 2005 bipartisan report from our boy Jimmy Carter and James Baker. 2012, New York Times also has an article that draws attention to the potential for error and fraud with the mail-in process. Fox News also has an article listed down there for just compiling thing after thing after thing. Data from the U.S. Election Assistance Commission indicates that roughly 28 million ballots have disappeared in the past decade. Elections in 2012, 2014, 2016, and 2018 saw more than 28.3 million unaccounted for mail-in ballots. This report comes from Public Interest Legal Foundation. This is a quote right here from the president and general counsel. His name's Christian Adams. He says, putting the election in the hands of the United States, this is a good way to think about it right here, buddy, right? Putting the election in the hands of the United States Postal Service would be a catastrophe. Over the recent decade, there's been 28 million missing and misdirected ballots. These represent 28 million opportunities for someone to cheat. Now, back to the story at hand. This story was not meant to bring up the issue about whether voter fraud is a thing or not. I just stressed that for a second, and Shine did as well, to show that, like Twitter, when you're telling me what is and is not truth, and you're just citing CNN and Washington Post, look what I just did there, buddy. Look what I just did for you, Twitter. Did I not tell you this is just going to be a trade of appeal to authority? Because I just hit 5 headlines in a row. And by the way, I used some of y'all's folks to do it. New York Times and Wall Street Journal. There's one Fox News headline in there. So if you want to trade headlines back and forth, we can do that all day long. But who's right at the end? Is Twitter correct just because Twitter said something? Okay, let's consider who at Twitter might be making this call. Back up to the headlines there. Twitter executive in charge of effort to fact check Trump has a history of anti-Trump posts. Okay, all right. So is this the person I'm supposed to trust, Twitter? Twitter's head of site integrity, his guy's name is Yoel Roth. He boasts on his LinkedIn page that he's in charge of, quote, developing and enforcing Twitter's rules, like the one, obviously, that slapped Trump for misleading tweets. However, Roth's own barrage of anti-Trump tweets, politically charged, seemingly calls into question whether he should be creating guidelines for the president and other Twitter users, especially when Twitter's under fire for his own alleged left-wing bias. Commentators have argued that Trump's tweets on the risk of mail-in ballot voting were not misleading. And the president accused Twitter of seeking to interfere in the upcoming election. Now, Roth has previously referred to, and Sean, by the way, if you're following along in those, pull this up for the folks there as well. You'll see it in the show notes. It's that headline there of Fox News, Twitter executive in charge of effort. And about halfway down there, there's a red thing that says, here's screenshots of the tweets that we're talking about. Click that Twitter link. And people that follow along the show notes at home do this as well. Here's some of the tweets that we're referring to. This is the that's in charge. And I just unplugged my microphone. This is terrible. Yeah. Hey, back at it. That was ridiculous. This is the guy, Roth, that you're looking at on your screen right now. This is the guy that's in charge of making these calls of what is and is not truth on Twitter. He's previously referred to Trump and his team as actual Nazis. He mocked Trump supporters for saying that we fly over those states that voted for a racist tangerine for some reason. He called Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell a personality-free bag of farts. That one's actually just funny to me because it's actually a little bit true. I got no problem with that one. All right, the rest of them, that's funny. But in September 2016, Roth tweeted, quote, "I've never donated to a presidential campaign before, but I just gave $100 to Hillary for America. We can't F word around anymore." As Sean's showing these on your screen right now, he goes on to say, when Trump won the 2016 election, Roth dejectedly chalked the development up to, quote, as he tweeted here, quote, Bernie Sanders protest voters and racism. Here's another tweet. Massive anti-Trump protest headed up in St. Valencia with a little heart emoji next to it. And lastly, he goes on to tweet in 2012, "I occasionally worried that my mother wasn't joking all those times that she was voting Republican." His LinkedIn page says that he received his PhD in communications from University of Pennsylvania by, quote, studying privacy and safety on gay social networks. Studying privacy and safety on gay social networks. And I like this quote here from Heather Champion. She's a commentator on social media. Says that these are the kids that are fact-checking the president of the United States. These are the kids. So you hear what I'm saying? It's not just Twitter either. YouTube's doing the same thing, man. And YouTube's doing it by way of an algorithm that's been set up by who knows, dude? Who knows? If this guy on Twitter is the guy that's responsible for shutting this stuff down, and I'm supposed to, you clearly have demonstrated a history of bias. And because of your bias, I can't take you seriously. Because of your bias, I can't trust you. How do you expect me to trust you? Even, let's say it this way, okay? Even if Twitter came out and Trump said something that was just patently false, the sky is orange. Let's say that's the case, okay? If it's this guy making this call, how am I not supposed to think, hey, man, some of your bias is what led into this? Yes, okay, obviously this guy is not orange. I get that. But, dude, how much are you led by your bias? Now, this YouTube story, man, is another problematic one. And all this, keep in the back of your mind, all this is leading up to a November election. YouTube is now deleting comments with two phrases that insult the let's call it the country over there Communist Party. Yeah, and I'm doing this for a reason, by the way, everyone. Just whoever's watching right now. There's a particular reason why I may or may not be saying certain words. But YouTube is automatically deleting comments that contain certain language phrases to the country over there. You can see under show notes if you know which country I'm talking about. It's the one that the Trump doesn't like so much. These phrases are related to criticism of the country's ruling party, the CCP. The company confirmed to The Verge this was happening in error, and that it was an issue it's looking into. So YouTube's response to basically just automatically deleting comments about the CCP, their response is, well, this appears to be an error in our enforcement systems, and we're investigating. Are you? Because The Verge goes on to report that if the deletions are the result of a simple mistake, then it's one that's gone unnoticed for 6 months. The Verge found evidence the comments were being deleted as early as October of 2019, when the issue was raised on YouTube's official help pages, and multiple users confirmed that they had experienced the same problem. Now, what are those two phrases? Very interesting here. comments that were left under videos on live streams that contain the words communist bandit, and another one that says 50-cent party. These words are automatically deleted in around 15 seconds. Oddly enough, although they're English translations, they're not deleted. If you translate the word into English, the English translations are not deleted. If you were just put out the 50-cent party, or if you were to put out their communist bandit, those words are not deleted automatically. The Chinese terms are. Obviously, using the characters that you can see on your screen right now, those are immediately deleted. And these two terms here, the term communist bandit in particular, that's an insult that dates back to China's nationalist government. While the other term, the 50-cent party, is sort of a derogatory slang term for internet users paid to direct online discussion away from criticism of the CCP. The name comes from claims that such commenters are paid 50 Chinese cent per post. Now, it's weird because YouTube is claiming that these phrases have been accidentally added to YouTube's comment filters, which obviously is automatically removing them because they're removed every 15 seconds after posting. That is not a manual person going in there and deleting. This is the next phase up from what Twitter is doing. You hear what I'm saying? You following me now? So Twitter has a guy who clearly has demonstrated hate for Trump. That department is in charge of going out there and selecting. And CNN's coverage of the Trump tweet is basically to the extent of, well, the real problem we're going to have is not necessarily that they're flagging Trump's tweets. That's not the real problem. The real problem is making sure that they remain consistent on it. That's the real problem, apparently. So what CNN is basically saying, the real problem is we got to do something now to make sure that all the way through November, it's flag, 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 flag. And what I hear them saying a little bit is because Twitter is doing this manually. Now, YouTube, buddy, YouTube's got this taken care of. YouTube just throws the words in there. That's the other part. Could they hear what you just said, Sean? Say that out loud.
The other thing that's weird is YouTube has been banned in China for years. The only way you can watch it, the only way, is to commit a crime and use a VPN, which is illegal in China. You're not allowed to do that. So
that's what's so weird.
That's what's so weird and it's only the Chinese phrases, not when it's done in English, right? Only Chinese, which to me means there's probably a Chinese person who wrote a program, not an American who wrote a program, because they said too later on in the article that this is definitely not manual deletions. They're definitely algorithmic deletions because of the 15 seconds. And the fact that it catches all of them. So,
Daniel
a little bit
just
weird. A little bit weird. I wonder if that's a little leftover Project Dragonfly.
Yeah, man, that's what they finished
maybe
this thing with. Yeah.
When the programmers were writing their own separate Google just for China, maybe some of those people left the back door open on real Google and can get in there when they want to.
Dude, Daniel Stone just said in Facebook, they accidentally used the China filter in the U.S. And this article, obviously, it says that the censorship, being that it was accidental, it's even more puzzling considering the YouTube is currently blocked in China. As we just said, it doesn't matter. It's just like, why would you even need to censor that out, man? It's already blocked in China. And they finalized this whole article with what Shine just noted on. Quote, Google has frequently been criticized for accommodating the wishes of the CCP by censoring content. Most notably, it created a prototype search engine known as Project Dragonfly that complied with Chinese state censorship. The project, which was never deployed, was it? Was it not? there's still some lingering effects out there, I guess, right? Which was never deployed, is part of the company's long-running struggles to enter the Chinese market. Now, granted, Google did get massive backlash for that Project Dragonfly, even from their own employees, and it actually worked its way all the way up to the House and Senate. But to say that it was just never employed, you're going to tell me that Google just wasted a couple $2 billion in something they're never going to implement? Come on, bro. They won't call it Project Dragonfly. I'll give you that. Doesn't mean they're not going to run with it.
Or is it not? You know what I mean? Right? All that stuff's on a server somewhere, probably in Beijing.
And let me pull recap real quick and try and make the theme of the show. That's one thing I think Sean and I are trying to get better at these days is having sort of all-encompassing themes as to why we pick the stories we do. And I also want to do this by ending on something which I consider to be pretty awesome. I don't necessarily like Elon Musk personally all that much. I'll give you my reasons on that here in just a second. But I do want to end on the SpaceX story. But starting from where we started with, man, I'm hoping the theme of the show today can be a little bit of like, I don't know, man. Speaking in third person, Mr. Henry's just struggling a little bit. I'm just being honest with y'all, man. Maybe the theme of today is vulnerability breeds vulnerability. Maybe that's what it is. Because this Patrick Dalton story, man, at the top of the show notes, that hit me hard. Of a collegiate athlete struggling when he came down with this virus. Of his parents not knowing if he's going to wake up the next morning. If I'm putting in a tracheotomy, if that's even the word. They said trach. Maybe, I don't know, whatever. A hole in this guy's throat, man, so he could breathe, all right? I haven't heard stories like that before. I don't know. I have no way to empathize with what it's like to possibly have an iPad in front of you because you got to speak to your family the last time, right? I mean, goodness gracious. But then going to this national story of the Dr. Terry posted, or a member of the House of Representatives here, giving me a bit of conflict here of what it basically comes down to. If you factor in the statistics and the analysis of the numbers, they could be lost due to the economic concern and the cost of Americans' years of life left. That's what this analysis is. The comparative years of life left. We've lost 800 years of American life, 800,000 years of American life due to the virus. And by way of the Hill story, we've lost 1.5 million years of American life. And that's from the economic shutdown. That's from greater suicides. That's from people not showing up for the dialysis. That's from people not showing up for cancer treatments. That's from people not showing up because they've had strokes. I mean, all the stats are there we went over. And obviously, we let in this idea of like, well, I just don't know what truth is necessarily. I don't know where to get it from. MSNBC is being called out because they're saying to wear masks, but none of them are wearing masks. Trump's trying to say that we're having, problems with election meddling, which maybe that's true. Maybe it's not. I have a lot of evidence from the Wall Street Journal and from Fox News and, from other places. What's the other one here? Doesn't necessarily matter. Wall Street Journal, Fox News, and New York Times to say that it is true. But some rando dude at Twitter is telling me that it's not true. So what even is true anymore, man? And then YouTube apparently is just be able to figure it out entirely. And yeah, one more time, I'm falling back from my libertarian roots, Shine, and saying like, well, I don't know, maybe it doesn't matter. Because YouTube's a private company and Twitter's a private company and they can do what they want to do. But they can't just flaunt the law. They can't just become something because they want to become something. They can't operate outside of the purview of what's clearly dictated in American law right now. Now, that is one way that I'm not necessarily libertarian. I do not believe that you can just necessarily refuse to follow something that is codified in our laws without facing particular ramifications. I think that is a building block of organized society. Now, clearly, carefully, let me say, what Martin Luther King did, I support. What Augustine said to do, I support. A law that is an immoral law is no law at all. Doesn't mean you're going to be free from the ramifications of that, though. That's what I'm saying. That's why I've always believed to call myself a constitutional incrementalist, because I believe you have to attack those laws where they stand, remove the power from the authoritative state, because they will as long as people believe in that notion of law, of lawful abiding citizens, of a civilized society, the bedrock being on those laws, as long as we still believe in that notion, that belief in itself is what will drive the authoritative state. So when YouTube and Facebook and Twitter come out and just like, I don't know, man, just like in the face of the law dictating that they should operate as a platform, just say, no, forget it. We're going to kind of do what we want. That's not, as a libertarian, I feel comfortable saying like, dude, you're doing wrong. You're doing wrong for so many reasons. You're doing wrong because you're undermining the value of the First Amendment. You're doing wrong because the law says you're doing wrong. And frankly, see, I just don't like what you're doing. Now, you still have the right to do it. Alternatively, I would expect Trump to come back with some other stuff on his own. I would expect, if you're going to play that game, YouTube and Twitter, you're gonna punch a hornet's nest here, man. But ending with all this stuff, in another sort of libertarian note here, man, I don't know. Tell me what you think about this SpaceX story. This is where I won't even go into the details of it, because frankly, I don't necessarily know the details of it. I just know for the first time since 2002, since we shut down NASA, is that when it was? 2006? Sometime recently, we shut down NASA. We're not going to space anymore, okay? Well, Elon Musk picked up that ball.
Here, I'll get
manned space flight.
We shut down manned space flight coming from the United States. We didn't shut down NASA, for sure.
Yeah, thank you. Very important clarification there. Yeah. Very important clarification there. We didn't shut down NASA. We just shut down manned space flight. And Elon Musk picks up that ball and says, I'll take care of it for you. I don't know what you think. Maybe, Daniel, if he's in Facebook, he's a guy that actually has some of the stuff. My father's a nuclear engineer. He's listening to us right now. Maybe somebody else can lend a bit better credence to this story of like, should private corporations be sending people to space? I don't know, but they're about to today. I think the launch time is 3 p.m. California time. And I just wanted to link that in the show notes, man, because I don't like Elon Musk personally. I think the guy's kind of shady. We had these kids, these kids were trapped in some, cave somewhere in India. You remember that soccer team or something? And Elon Musk guaranteed he's going to have this little submarine vehicle that a single man could fit inside of, and that he would save the kids. And when he didn't deliver on that, he delivered some terrible prototype that nobody could fit in, and it wasn't going to be watertight, and it was just bad. And when he got criticism for that, he ran off this like wild pedophiles, conspiracy theory about the guy who criticized him. Very awkward exchange. Most recently, he guaranteed that he was going to have tens of millions of ventilators made, and he looked like a hero on that one. And what he ended up delivering was essentially just a bunch of CPAP machines. The point I make is Elon Musk is a guy that will use a hero story, will create a hero narrative to the advantage of himself and the economic outcome of his companies. I don't like that part of it. I don't. But I can't deny what SpaceX is doing. I can't deny that he said he was going to start a car company with Tesla, and by the end of 7 or 8 or 9 years or whatever, make a very affordable battery-driven car. Now, I can criticize the batteries that are in that car and say that it's not exactly green to buy a Tesla. Don't get that confused. But he at least delivered there. That's neither here nor there. Sean, I'll give it with you maybe for last word, though, man. You hear what I'm saying? Like the SpaceX thing, man. I don't know. It kind of gets me a little bit excited. It gets me a little bit motivated, right? That private industry can do something that we shut down NASA from doing, sending a man to space. We're about to do that today.
We have still been sending men and women to space, but they've been launching out of Russia. Did you know that?
I did not know that at all. No.
So we've still been doing manned space flights to the space station. We've just been doing it in Russia. And I think it's cool that Elon Musk was part of a massive team. He's definitely not by himself, and he's definitely working with NASA. Actually, my brother-in-law works for NASA. We talked about this the other day. He was at my house, my new place. He was helping me christen it. But this is actually, they're very excited to bring manned spaceflight back to America. And I don't know if you've been following NASA on YouTube. I think you should. It's very, very cool. They post really cool videos. This is the very first launch in a series of launches that will end in a manned spaceflight to Mars. How cool is that? They're going to build up the space station. And I'll give you their little plan real quick, and I'll try to be quick about it. But they're going to make a bigger space station. Then they're going to work on making a space station that orbits the moon. Huh? That's cool. And then they're going to use that as a launch point from that orbital station on the moon, going around the moon, to launch to Mars. And this is the very beginning of all that, little test stuff. But I think it's very neat, very exciting, and I think a great story for the United States and humanity is like, let's get out there and see what's out there. I think that's awesome, because I think there's value out there, and I think there's value in trying to get there and all the different things. I mean, the reason we have cordless power drills is because of NASA. There's all kinds of the reason we have cell phones is because of NASA. And I'm not, people, right? But it was those journeys that everyone wanted to take to the moon and to space that created lots of great products that help us have the great life we have today. So I think going to Mars will be great. And I'm excited that America's having that adventure frontier spirit again. I think it's neat.
Hey, and importantly, Daniel says in Facebook, obviously, I think in just tempering a bit of my opinion on this, which I'm appreciative that he did. He's saying that they're doing it on a NASA contract. It's the end of a 20-year competitive bid process. It's not like it's just space tourism. That's a very important point, right? It's not like it's just space tourism of Elon Musk just playing astronaut for the day, right? He just doesn't want to be like the new Buzz Aldrin or something like that. It's a major plan, 20-year competitive bid process done through NASA. It's a very important point, right? It's just, I don't know. I just like seeing someone else, step up and take that ball. And by the way, one final time here as we're into the program, I don't know, Sean. Yeah, go ahead and start the music, because I really don't want to touch these two stories. But if you want to know, we'll maybe touch it tomorrow. If you want to know my honest opinion, I gave at least a very slight version of my honest opinion on these two stories of A white woman calling a police on a African-American bird watcher in Central Park. That story is in the show notes as well, along with the 4 Minneapolis police officers that were fired after the fatal arrest of George Floyd. Two videos there for the George Floyd thing. One is ABC or MSNBC, it doesn't matter. One of the two. It's your run-of-the-mill one that's been edited properly. It'll be okay to get through. The other one is a direct Twitter video, graphic content in there. I wouldn't watch it if you can't handle it. If you can't handle it, you probably already seen it. I didn't cover these stories today, though, honestly, because like I'm so upset by that last story. I'm so upset over the officer's actions, the inevitable racial implications, the broad brush comparisons, the bystanders' desperation to save Mr. Floyd, the overbearing state of authority, the murder itself, the facts that our modern narrative focuses on anyone to feel like they should defend officers' actions. The fact that this will be broad brush now to officers entirely. I'm upset by every single component of that story that I just didn't feel like I could do it justice. I frankly speaking, I was afraid I was going to say something I would regret later on. And these programs are going to live forever, man. They are. Maybe I'll calm down about it a little bit, over the afternoon or something. But I did at least wanted to give that out there so people had links to it if they didn't know what those stories were. But we'll go ahead and end the show today. Sean's getting the information ready, getting the music ready on the outro here. You're getting married. There's a reverse here. Go click at the top of the show notes. Letters to your legislators. You can reject the bailouts. Call Senator Alexander or Senator Blackburn yourself. Let them know your feelings on that or any other issue. Property tax increase. That's still a thing that's going on in Nashville. We're going to have a bit more updates on that coming next week, but you can click that link right there. Let your voice be heard on that. And we'd really like to keep telemedicine in Tennessee. Sean and I in particular are going to be working on a lot of healthcare related stuff over the next couple of weeks here and on into June. So stay looking forward to that, specifically Tennessee related healthcare stuff. And telemedicine is one that we'd really like y'all support on as well. So go click that link up there at the top. Signing off for today. My name is Mr. Henry. David Sean Thompson, best friend in the world, sitting beside me. Peace out. We'll see you tomorrow.